having a great time this morning, aren't we, Angela? Superb fun. Anyway, you're watching and listening to Breakfast with Angela and Martin. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, we hope you're enjoying it as much as we are. Yeah. We're going to start by taking, in this part of the programme, by looking at today's front pages. And the Prime Minister could face a backlash rebellion, and a backbench rebellion over his upcoming deal on the Northern Ireland Protocol, according to The Guardian.
And in the weekend, over 70% of voters polled believe water company bosses should face criminal charges for polluting rivers with sewage, which seems fair enough.
Yeah, The Express says arrogant BBC under fire after the Director General, Tim Davies, said how amazing it was that people were happy to find £159 to pay the licence fee amid the cost of living squeeze.
And the FT weekend says European gas prices have hit an 18-month low as traders report growing confidence that countries will avoid shortages this winter and next. OK, so let's have our bills coming down, please.
Yes, and Princess Diana's former butler wants to share her secrets with her sons before he dies from cancer.
OK, so it's time to go through the papers now. Joining us this morning is radio host and legend, the broadcaster Pete Price. I'm sorry, Pete, you've been demoted. You sit next to me now, not Angela. And also writer and columnist Emma Wolfe.
Excuse me interrupting. Can I get a smell, please, of the perfume?
You want to splurge as well?
Yeah, of course I do.
Ready?
Of course I do. Excuse me. Sorry, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Having a perfume moment on the programme this morning. Yes. I tell you, it's starting to smell like a tart's boudoir in this office. Now, as we say, we've got Emma, who is on my right now. BBC licence fee boast there. Tim Davie getting it in the neck, isn't he, for something silly that he said in private?
In private, yeah. This was an internal meeting. It's been leaked. BBC boss Tim Davie telling his staff, as I say, in an internal meeting, that he says most households are pretty happy paying a licence fee and it being a forced payment. It's amazing what we're pulling off. So it is pretty cringy. It is pretty insensitive, to say the least, during a cost of living crisis to be perceived as boasting about the quite complacent position that they're getting £159 a year from everybody for the BBC licence fee. There's a sense that they're coining it in, as some papers are saying, coining it in while struggling households are, trying to meet household bills, cost of living, all of that. So this is poor communication, but it's not really, it wasn't actually intended for the wider public.
I mean, I think we have to say that 159 a year works out at 47p a day for all the telly and the radio that you get. It's just Tim Davie saying the wrong thing. It's really bad publicity to say this.
Yeah, I think...
for a communications industry, they don't get the communication right all the time, do they?
No, often they don't. We have to remember this wasn't intended for the wider public, so he's sort of saying I think what he was trying to say to staff was, we need to be aware that we're in a very lucky position. Yeah. We need to be aware that we get this money that other commercial stations don't get.
So Pete...
But it's come across very badly.
Yeah, I agree with that. So Pete, is the BBC VFM, or should it be a kind of paid subscription model, as many people think?
I prefer it as it is. I still think that they should give pensioners free licences because of what they've done for the country. But what I think is sad about the whole story is the fact that no bosses can open their mouth. I've done a late night phone-in for 45 years of 4 hours a night, and I've now given up because I can't speak and I can't say what I want to say. And I'm frightened to... Well, you can't say what you want to say anymore.
For fear of being cancelled?
Yeah, I'm frightened. I've got a radio mic. I'm in there thinking, what am I doing with a radio mic on? Honestly, these days you can't say anything. I interviewed the Chief Constable. Lovely. She's a friend of mine. I said, the man hours. And she jumped on me because I said, man hours. I've been brought up with man hours. Have I got to think of every word? 4 hours a night, 5 nights a week? It's hard.
It should be them hours, shouldn't it?
Oh, don't start all that. By the way, I love the perfume.
Yeah, and we're not allowed to say firemen anymore. We're meant to say fire them.
Yeah. Fire them.
Fire them.
Fire them. Well, fire the lot of them.
Instead of firemen.
Oh, my God. Well, fire people.
Picture them.
And they've been rewriting all the Roald Dahl books, all the wonderful books about fat and ugly people and so-and-so and ghoulish this and ghoulish that.
Interesting you say that. Some of the old shows they're showing, like Till Death Do Us Part and things like that, I think they should keep them as they are, to remind us of what we were, like the statues in history, to remind us of how bad they were and how wrong
How brilliant
that was.
they were
Yeah, and they were
sometimes too.
brilliant.
Yes.
But also it was a different generation.
Absolutely. Put it into context.
Yeah.
Do you remember the show Love Thy Neighbour, which at the time was a huge success, and historically has now been rebadged as this racist product. But actually, if you watch that back, as I did recently, just to sort of say what was all the fuss about, it's actually really clever. It portrays the white guy as a bigot, and the black guy as more progressive. And actually, the black guy looks a bit thick for being like that. And that's why I agree with you, Pete. It's useful to look at it.
That's interesting you say it like that, because you can perceive so much more from it.
Yeah.
But we should keep it, because that's our history.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
it has to be seen in context, because that was then, this is now.
Yeah, and as a gay man, I went through so much abuse, but I've learned from that abuse, you know.
Yeah.
Pete.
A story you got...
Sorry, I was going to say Paul O'Grady on beating COVID to get back to work again.
Yeah,
That's good
it's a
news for
double
lot of
page
people.
in the Mirror, and it's well worth a read. He's a dear friend of mine. He's outrageous. It's one of his rants. If you want to be cheered up today, read this, because I love him to death. His animals have kept him alive through COVID. He didn't realise how bad it was. And I spoke to him. Thank goodness he had his animals. I rang him up one day and I said to him, how are you? He said, well, not very well. Meh. I said, pardon? He said, I really, meh. I went, excuse me? He had a baby lamb in bed with him, whose mother was, the typical Paul O'Grady. And he's coming out on the road again as Miss Hannigan, which really excited about as in Annie.
Yes.
But he is the worst Miss Hannigan ever. He scares the living daylights out of those kids. So it's a great read.
Oh, terrific. Yeah, and you've got a good one for us too, haven't you, Emma?
Yeah, I think this is good news. Telegraph are reporting that medical assistants could be starting to prescribe drugs.
Yeah.
And look, we know all the problems with the NHS at the moment, but also primary care. There's a real sense that there needs to be systemic change. Often, just getting a routine prescription, nothing fancy, nothing that needs high-level medical expertise, is just impossible, just even getting to see your GP. So the Telegraph are reporting that there's sort of medical reforms underway, and that regulators will be looking at the possibility of extending prescribing powers to medical assistants. I think they call them, they have all different names for them, but physician associates who can assist GPs with, look, GPs now are working on average 3 days a week. There aren't enough GPs. We've got, a swelling population.
Well, I would add
pressures
to that, at a time where most GPs seem to be missing in action.
Well, yeah.
It might be an idea to sort of spread out a few of their skills to other people, surely to help lessen the burden on the NHS so we can all get the care we need quicker.
I hear all these problems with the NHS. I have had nothing but satisfaction with the NHS. My doctor's surgery is brilliant. They run it well, and we all get seen to.
I hear that a lot from outside of London. I'm in central London, and I cannot get, even for my 2-year-old, I cannot get a GP appointment.
It is extraordinary.
And outside London, though, you hear, actually, no problems at all. You can walk into your GP. So it may be...
Interestingly, I hear the other side, because I have family who live in the West Country. They have terrible problems where they are in the West Country. I'm in central London. Again, my doctor's surgery is absolutely wonderful. But I do wonder about whether or not we should be using pharmacists more.
I was going to say.
Because they are so well trained.
They are almost more experienced than GPs. If you think about the amount of people they see day in, day out.
Frontline, face-to-face.
Our pharmacists, you go in, you can talk to the proper pharmacist right in the back, not the person on the counter.
You're missing one other person, the receptionist at the doctors. I ring Carol up regularly and ask her before the doctor what's wrong. She knows more than any of the doctors.
I'm not sure you want the receptionist prescribing your antibiotics, but maybe.
Oh, I don't mind, as long as I get my antibiotics.
But I think whenever we talk about this story, it has vast regional differences.
Yeah.
It really does.
It appears that, and you're right, chemists are doing a phenomenal job these days.
And the same within hospitals. You can go in and have amazing nurses, and then you can get a couple of, I think it's the same in any profession.
Yeah.
There's an interesting story here from Eamon Holmes, who normally sits in this chair right here. He's not in for the weekend. I hope you're getting well, Eamon. He's talking about this thing that's been going for a long while, Pete, this feeling that if you're middle-aged and you're white, you're bottom of the list for TV jobs, although here we all sat on TV, the pair of us.
I picked this story because it's a minefield. It's opening a minefield. It's something that a lot of people are talking about privately and won't talk about publicly. Eamon says he blasted the youth-obsessed TV bosses for not giving jobs to white, middle-aged men. He went on to say that if you're, it's all about your sexuality, ethnicity, and he's opened a minefield because we had the middle-aged actresses in America were up in arms because they couldn't get jobs. Now he's saying what an awful lot of people are saying, and I won't cross the line here, but I've got an awful lot to say about it because there's so many, and I'm getting a nod at the end there, agreeing. It's getting
not so much colour, but I think age.
No,
is
everything,
a huge thing.
but not colour, everything, the whole mix.
And it's so hard to speak out if you're like me, freelance. You're reliant on lots of different companies. You work with lots of different channels. And
can I just say though, Pete, I do find it quite telling and yet rather sad that you have a really strong take on this, but you're not prepared to share it. You said that twice now during this segment. Is that because you just worry so much about the fallout?
No, because they'll pick up on it now. I mean, I'm already, I think, trending on Twitter because they're having a go at me, saying nice things and good things.
Why? You've been amazing.
No, but that's what they pick up on. It's what they pick up on. Then I think that I should be doing a job like all of us here, because we have experience, nothing to do with age. I have experience to handle it, and if I don't know what I'm talking about, I can bluff it, which the youth can't. Sorry, youth, you can't. You don't have experience.
There you go.
But I think it should be based on ability, not on age or colour or whatever. And I think it's a lot worse. Well, Angela and I could probably talk about age for women. I think it's a lot different because you see, and I won't say that I love Eamon too, but he's a lot older than his co-host, and actually it's...
And I'm older than a lot of you put together. And
you may be a few years older, but it's a lot. You usually get an older anchor, an older male presenter, and a younger.
Well,
I'm all in favour. Save your blushes here. I'm all in favour of mature women like me having a toy boy sitting next to them. I think it's about time we did that.
And I'd love a toy boy sitting next to me as well.
I can die happy. We have to move on. Bryce Annable, thank you very much. Now.